And it came in the original box. It's just amazing to see it next to modern woofers.
Yeah, I guess it was advanced for its time, but like it wouldn't hold up compared to other ones.
It's built more like a pro audio loudspeaker. I mean, it technically was anyway. But all right, we are live.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. We're Spark Innovations people, and we're here.
We're right here.
We're live. We'll do it
I'm
live.
Ed, and that's Rich.
Yep.
Or backwards.
And that's the mirror universe back over there.
Strike that. Reverse it.
Yeah.
Get it?
By the way, you like the movie Oculus? Was that what it was called? There was a kind of a prequel. And
she's Scottish, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Nebula. There was kind of a prequel and sort of a sequel. The prequel, like there was a short film version before that movie that's what it was based off of.
Really?
And then the mirror itself made an appearance in The Haunting of Hill House or House on Haunted Hill, one of those Netflix series. And like in the mansion, maybe Haunting of Mansion, I don't know what the heck it was called. They walk past it and it's the same mirror that they used, and it was meant to be the same mirror, but they never did a story based on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, hi guys. We're rambling while it like boots up and everyone
Rambling.
like comes on board and whatnot.
Rambling. I'm just a rambling guy.
Like he said, I'm Ed. That's Rich.
Yep.
We're Spark Innovations.
Yep.
We're doing our live show here.
Yep.
So we're gonna ramble for a few minutes.
Is that Sean Mullen?
Mullen Performance, and I think one topic we just wanted to talk about a little bit. Y'all fellas digging the car content, Ed?
Oh yeah, on your YouTube.
Yeah,
channel.
it's not doing well video view wise, but that's all right. My build series is supposed to take me through all the steps of my build, not just the audio. I am going to do the audio, but got to start somewhere, right? So if people aren't interested in that, then whatever. I'm still doing the build series as it is. What up, John Earl?
What up, John Earl?
So, and I will be on Quietly Loud later tonight with Drew Jones,
Bobby Gately,
and Steve. What's his name?
Steve Mead.
No, Barber.
Oh yeah,
Of shitting on him, and
Yep.
Gately Audio, and obviously of Drew Jones, his thing, Bassaholic. So check that out later.
We're usually next to Barber, aren't we? At shows.
Well, when Hammy does them, his guy that does them at the TDH show,
Yeah.
because Barber's in Vegas, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And so Hammy is the one here. He'll run the booth on this side of it.
Hand me down.
I got hot tea. It's Earl Grey hot.
If we ever did YouTube, told us the reviews to be. Well, yeah, that's true. It's difficult to keep on soldiering forth.
That's called chasing the algorithm, and I refuse to do that.
Yep.
So once you get caught up in just making your content fit what views tell you to make, then you lose creativity and your passion for it. And I don't want to get caught in that. I have a day job. I don't need to do that. So today we wanted to talk about a little of dream systems,
What
like
up, JD?
our audio systems, what we have dreamed of in the past. Like what were some of our dream setups? And we'll talk about some of ours, but feel free in the comments to tell us what were some of your dream setups back in the day that maybe you never have done, and maybe what's your dream setup now.
How about the one that I've been dreaming about since I got my car in 2005?
that still hasn't happened.
Yep.
And there's pieces of it all over.
Yep.
I think there's one of your hybrid audio mids is up around here somewhere. Something like that.
Yeah, I gotta sell those things. Unless I decide to keep them.
Jonathan DeMuth.
Yep.
Jonathan DeMuth is my dream system. Just him in the back seat screaming. The worse my content on YouTube gets, the more views it gets. I mean, there's something to that. I know one thing that could get views if you present content that is, like you say, wrong information. People will jump on that to correct you like nobody's business. But that's, I digress. I want to know what your dream piece of equipment back in the day was that today seems absurd.
Well, a stroker is kind of in that category because that was like that was like the epitome. But we didn't really know much better back then.
I have 6 of these.
I mean, it's still from an emotional standpoint gets me excited,
Yeah.
but
Wait
performance
till you hear
wise,
them, though. I mean, yeah, modern woofers can outperform them, but to see it move, and look, it came in the original box. Watching them move is hilarious because you don't have the normal dust cap moving, like the center stays still
yeah,
and the cone around it moves. So that's always
that is kind of funky.
to see. So that was a dream piece of equipment that I actually got.
Yep.
But there's a lot that I never got my hands on. Were you like I was, where we would look at woofers either at the shops or in books, in like Truckin' Magazine or in the catalogs or whatever it was, and wish we could get them, but they didn't necessarily fit the build we wanted. But it was still like, well, that woofer's cool as hell too. It just doesn't fit what I'm setting up for my build.
Not me, only because my builds were always tame, on the tame side. And I was also in SQ, so there's only one type of sub that I really wanted, and it wasn't like a ground pounder kind of thing. But you might have been torn because you'd had a sub that would sound really good, but then another one that at like one frequency would be incredible in a box and win trophies and stuff. So I've never really had that, but I can kind of see how that's a thing for some people.
Yeah. I wanted to be a woofer collector. Out of all equipment, woofers are what spoke to me the most. So do you remember at Soundworks they had the Rockford Power Series, the one with the chromed out motor?
I was just thinking about Soundworks the other day.
And so Rich had Rockford subs. You had the DVC series.
Yeah.
In 10s and those 8-inch little Canon ones. And I was a Surin woofer, but I had crunch woofers, like stuff in my house. Those Pioneer IMPPs, I would love to get. That's a dream woofer I want again. And I remember designing a system for a bunch of those, but I only ever had 2 8s. Those IMPPs were just, they weren't loud.
Injection molded polypropylene.
Yeah, I had MTX woofers. I had a lot of woofers like in my room, just playing with woofers. But in my car, I mostly used Surin and the MTX Terminators. I remember those, the gray series. But I also dreamed of having multiple cars or multiple systems. The Rockford Power series were some of those. And when the PPI flat pistons came out, and they were built more like that, like a one slug motor, like just a wide diameter motor.
Right.
Just the way they look, the way they presented themselves.
Did they perform well though?
They were decent. There were definitely better woofers out there, but it was decent. It was a good high-end woofer.
Yeah, but weren't they lacking cone area because of that?
No, cone area is the actual. It's not the surface area of the cone itself. It's the radiating area at the top of the plane is what counts. So you could have a flat. You could do this and have all the surface area in the world. It's just that flat plane of where it radiates from. So those were something that I dreamed of having, the Rockford, and obviously the Strokers, which I ended up getting, which were the top of all of that. As far as amplifiers, how about amplifiers? Did you have any dream amplifiers? It was always Rockford stuff with me, the Power 1000. I did have a bunch of Rockford amps. I had the 200.2s and the 6-channel 360.6. Then I had the obviously the 60IX. But I wanted the black case ones more than anything, just because they looked awesome. And
yeah, I liked how they kind of brought that back a little bit with that one series where they did like a really rough black anodization and then like grinded off the top layer so that you could see the raw aluminum underneath, like that, or steel underneath. That was aluminum, I guess.
It's all aluminum, cast aluminum though, I believe. Well, the old ones were anyway.
Well, so that's the one thing. So Rockford, when they came out with the X series, I was very moved by those. I thought that they were going in a great direction with that design language. It was basically exactly what I was looking for, even though I didn't know what I was looking for. And I wanted a series of those in my system. And I think I did at one point have enough to build a system. It's just another one of those projects that came and went, and I never used them, and I ended up selling them. It's kind of sad.
Actually, no, they're at my house.
They are.
Maybe not all of them.
I sold an X7. I sold an X2 or something.
I think because I bench tested and one or two wasn't where like the DSP where the buttons was all the LCD screen was like out.
Yeah.
All that's just from sitting around and stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as far as amplifiers, one amp I never even saw in person, but I actually really, really wanted it was, and people might not even know this amp really existed, the DEI, the Viper amps. There was DI and then there was Viper. And I forget who they bought out. Might have been around the time or right before they bought Orion. They had a bunch of different brands, but then they branded amps DEI and Viper. But there was a 2500D and it had the Viper logo on it. And it just was a really cool looking heat sink, had a nice design, and it was a decently strong amp. So that was when I was working at Circuit City because we carried them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was building my Horizon and trying to find out what amps I wanted to do before I joined up with MTX, Team Thunder Force, to go with the 81000s and the 1501Ds, I was looking at the 2500D Viper amps.
Oh.
And I think I ended up going all MTX just because I could get hooked up on price and all that. But it's kind of like one of the ones that got away. Were they decent amps? I don't even know because I've never even seen them in person. So
yeah, that's a good point. We used a lot of those MTX digital, the 1000Ds and that kind of stuff. Like
well, you had one too.
I know, but you had several.
I had 8.
Yeah.
And I had
you had them unlocked, right? Didn't you have them unlocked?
I modified mine. Yes.
Yeah.
You pull out. There's a suppressor circuit. You just take that out.
Yeah, I remember sound quality was not good.
Yeah.
But
they were more like ground
efficient.
Pounder type.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when MTX, my tech was really pushing Xtant as well. So all their sound cue development and marketing went into the Xtant line. There were a lot more money. Yeah. But Xtant amps were really cool too. I never really dreamed of having them, but
yeah,
they were cool.
I think I really would have liked to have one, but not. If someone gave one to me, I would be like, "Oh, great, thanks, that's awesome."
Yeah,
but never really like save up to get one. Audiobahn, I know it's weird to mention, but just from a design language standpoint, the one amp that I had, did it have
those? You had the flame amp.
Yeah, did it have the VU meters in it? I can't remember.
And it lit up blue. So there were multiple amps that had the VU meters. Some had like the incandescent bulb that lit up, and they had like gold trim. Like it looked like chrome and gold trim. Yours was the flame, which was all chrome. Mm-hmm. It had blue lights and blue VU meters. Yeah. It's like a 2400. Didn't do that much power really, but
right, yeah.
And people do dream of that. I mean, I got the A5000 SPL over there, the microwave amp, and that's got VU meters on it. That was the big boy.
Yeah.
Some of their subs I did kind of dream of having. They had a flat piston woofer also, a little bit different than the PPI one. I think Audiobahn had more. I always, in my head, when I see Jacob wants to come out with a new series or revision of a woofer, thinking he's got so many series.
Sorry.
But Audiobahn had more series of woofers than like anyone else I could think of, and some of them looked really cool, and I would have loved to have those.
That's true.
Should we go to the comments?
Yes. Rob's last comment made me laugh. He has a theory that anyone who loved Audiobahn amps either has a barbed wire tattoo or considered one at one point.
I will say I was a big fan of Goldberg, and he had his tribal tattoo that kind of looked like barbed wire.
That's funny.
That's as close as I got to it. The Audiobahn rack amps were cool. Yeah, and I have 2 of them right there, the A5000, and I have the 2-channel.
Just thought about it. Macintosh.
Green.
I think I always would have liked to have that, but would, from a practical standpoint, would never have done it just because of the cost and the fear of it getting stolen. I don't know. Just like, a Rockford amp, an MTX amp, it's like okay, it's nothing special. You could get them at stores, you see them all over the place. but that, that's like a piece of jewelry, and they had a great reputation. I'm not sure about the actual sound quality, like from a personal standpoint. I've never heard them, but
I've heard them in sound rooms. That's about it.
yeah, but it was one of those things like, oh, I wonder what that must be like, but it never seemed like something for me. It was like always for somebody else.
Oh, Mullen Performance has a Goldberg tattoo. That's awesome.
Are you going to beat up Rob for making fun of you?
Yeah. You guys are showing your age.
Yeah.
Who said that? Kyle? Are we older than Kyle? Probably. He's more handsome than us, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Extant 1001D was his dream amp. The stupid pin sucked. Oh, did they use the same terminals? Do you remember the terminal clips? PPI used them, and maybe Orion. And if you lose that connector, you're screwed. All the wires go in, and I think it might have been a flat blade screwdriver where you put the wire in and it kind of clips in, and it was just I hated that thing.
I hate proprietary stuff is crap. Apple does that kind of crap. I hate it.
The Circuit City MTX team was the first windshield. That Hi-Fi Vegas all broken.
Oh,
And Fort Smith.
yeah, I had again another system that I really didn't put together. I had those MTX subs, those 12s. What were they? Do you remember?
You had MTX 12?
Yeah, the 8850s or the 88. Why do I think 88? I forget. Or 89.
What time?
No, wait, 90, 9100.
Oh, the 9500s.
9500s. That's it.
Right. You sold them, didn't you?
Yeah, they had the aluminum cone.
Yeah, that was the part that was like a drawback on those woofers. They would have been really awesome for like anyone. It's 4-inch coil, big motor, but they went with this like weird aluminum cone that a lot of people that did use them, it would crack.
Oh no.
And other people, it would just make like a weird ringing noise at certain frequencies.
Oh,
and you never even got to really use it.
No, but I do remember the venting on those and the spider
plateau
placement. Yeah, the spider plateau.
It was based off of the RFL that I got up there,
and that was pretty, pretty unique and revolutionary for its time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nowadays you look at Sundown and Jacob's got venting all over the place.
The entry level woofers back there, and look, the Stroker has no venting at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Phoenix Gold Cyclone was a golden goose. I've seen that. The what's his name? Greg Dickey had one at their shop down on Main Street.
Yeah. Isn't Phoenix Gold like really expensive now?
Yeah. Like, well, they're higher. They've always been kind of higher end, not super high end, but like pretty good.
Yeah.
Infinity Uniplane mid ranges. Infinity made decent stuff. My workhorse subs I use as my home stereo sub, and I have multiples around. And none are blown at all. They're all in like perfect condition, even though a couple of them have been under Ublex, underwater, in different conditions like that, and they still all work. And that's the Infinity Reference series that I have. I've competed with them. I had 8 in a box, 6 in a box, 4, 3, all different combos.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing about Infinity though. They kind of did, for me anyway, what Bose did. With like, the Infinity Kappas, man, like, so I had some graffiti sound 4x6s in my doors. I had my 96 Beretta and graffiti sound, from the MCM catalog, right? Real nice and cheap. And they sounded really good. But I figured, well, they're cheap, so they probably or should sound a lot better. So Infinity had the Infinity Kappas. They had these.
The green ones were the Kappas.
It was a 4x6 plate, but on it was mounted a circular tweeter and a circular.
I used to install them all the time in GMs, the 4x6.
And the magnet was almost as big as the. And that's why I thought it must have been better. And it actually sounded worse than the graffiti sounds. And I think I lied to myself and said it sounded better.
Because you spent the money justifying it.
Yeah. So that was one of those like, I feel like I fell for the marketing and I got burned a little bit.
Zach Fowler has a sound cube build done by Sound Evolution in Houston. Blam. Mids and highs audio cut sound for subs. New Encore 15s. I haven't heard them. Spencer says the MTX Jackhammer.
Oh, I remember that.
Big ones.
Yeah. I gotta get a haircut. Jeez.
I think I-Fi Vega. I need to shave my beard. Means the black and golds. He said the black and grinds.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
the
For
MTX black and gold. Oh,
the Rockford ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
funky pup. There you go.
You know, I remember I painted my Rockford amps.
You did.
So
They
they,
blue fade.
yeah,
Faded
blue to
silver?
silver fade. So not only were these were the gold ones. If you remember, the silver in the middle and then the gold on the side. It was before
Were
the black ones with the grind.
Did you have 4 channels or were they 2 channels?
I had both. I had a 4-channel and I think
100.2 or 200.2? Like
I had a 200.2 and a 400.4.
I might still have one. I know I sold mine to Alicia.
You
Brandon
had the
Kessel
360
announced.
point.
Well, that was my 6 channel. But as
Yeah.
far as for my sub, I had 3 200.2s.
Yeah.
For my subs.
But I ended up. This was back when it was a novel idea. You know, I'm going to paint my amp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so taping it off and everything like that. I remember how
And
it
the
took
end
me
caps.
for freaking ever. Yeah, I did the end cast, and then I chose to do a blue to silver fade, which was a lot harder to do. It was much easier said than done, and it actually ended up turning out really, really nice. And I look back, and that was like the only system that I ever like put together that was like finished.
They were dinging like crazy. Someone said the Soundstream Da Vinci, also the Tarantula. The first Tarantula, I did dream of having that. And I've seen
Yes.
the Human Rain one
Oh,
was with the face coming out and everything.
Yes.
I did want that Tarantula. It was one of the first big multi-1,000-watt amps. I don't know what it really did.
Right.
But who else did that? MA Audio or one of the offshoots of Audiobahn did kind of that style as well, where it had handles on it, but it wasn't rack mount. It was like a plate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it mounted like you would cut out something, mount it down like that, and it had handles on it. So it was kind of a weird, different setup. Had the big tarantula on it. So
what was the one, the JBL one that was in the Bronco?
The JBL Crown A6000 T.
Yep.
Or GT.
For Alma, right?
Yeah, and there were 3,000-watt versions and 1,500, and I did dream of having that series of amps because the 3,000 looked awesome. The 6,000 obviously was huge and looked awesome, and even the 1,500s, that whole series, GTO series or whatever it is, they were strappable, bridgeable, series or parallel. So it depended on your impedance range of speakers that you had. If it was 4 ohms, but you wanted to get the most power out of it, you can have them connected in parallel. The channels connected in parallel.
Wow.
Then you could flip a switch, use different connectors, and go into series like most amps are bridged to. So revolutionary design. They were super expensive, and it's a collector's piece now.
Yeah, that kind of flexibility. I wonder if we ever put that in the Omi if we come out with a V3, where because we had people talking about, well, I have 3 subs, like real weird configurations.
We ran into the weirdest things.
Yeah, we tried to make it real straightforward. 2 DVC subs. Okay, nice and simple, right? No.
Yeah, most common setup. This will be good. And everyone, hey, I got 3 subs. I got 7.5 subs. Like,
yeah,
I got 3 subs, but one is single voice call and the other is dual. Like, what?
So maybe that's one of the features that we put into it. Make it more configurable for the user.
We gotta go through these questions. We got 23. Okay, 7 minutes left. Randy, what RBX? Yeah, it's the RBX wire size do you recommend for the power and ground? 8 gauge or 4 gauge?
I would say 4 gauge.
Between 8 and 4.
8, yeah, depending on what you're running. If you're going to use all 75 amps of current, or 90, however you use it, then you want to go for the 4 gauge. But otherwise, 8 gauge will be just fine.
All right, Hi-Fi Vega and many Dream head units, Macintosh, Nakamichi,
Nakamichi,
Clarion. Yeah. I have that Clarion one. I never had the Alpine F1 status. The Macintosh was cool. I know it wasn't that good and it was built for them, but I did like the Rockford head unit. Pins were for the crossover. Oh, the pins. Oh, I see what you're saying. And the Rockford amps that we always had the D cards that you would take out and flip around.
Yep.
Precision Power Audio Arts. I always like those. And I did like the PPI, and I still have the heatsink from, what's his name around, of the gray smooth amps. Yeah.
He wants that back. Amps. I thought he would have, just like kind of like, what do they call it, a sunken cost.
I could give it to him. It's somewhere at home.
He's like, I want that, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, he hasn't
it's just
repaired it.
he
He goes, it's been decades. I'm like, well,
I
that's
know.
true.
I told him I couldn't repair it. It's when I was in tech school. He gave it to me to try and fix. I couldn't do it, and I just never got it back to him.
That's funny.
But I can.
Hi, Charles Roach.
Only foot molding it. Use the to rock a Pyramid PB300 and 10-inch Super Pros. I had a few of those Super Pros, but I think each time I got them was purposely to blow them up, like the thumps and
was Pyramid like a mid-level brand?
Yeah,
can't really remember.
Boss.
Yeah. Like audio power acoustic.
Autotech flush mount amps. I guess you could call them that with the handles. Yeah. Memphis Bell is another cool amp that I wish I would have had at one point, which is a 5-channel, I believe.
Yeah.
But it was huge and shiny and really cool. Audio art is a good tool.
I got to give, there's certain brands. Memphis is one, and Extant is another one that, from a design standpoint, I just looked at it and was like, man, that's slick.
Yeah.
Like their design language spoke to me. MA Audio a little bit too.
Audioban definitely for some.
Well,
reason.
yeah, I mean that goes without saying for me, but
I did like the MA Audio HK series woofers, the hardcore series. They looked really nice. They were one of the first to do like the ribbed surrounds on the cones. I got an MA Audio woofer up there, the 8-inch that has the ribs on the surround. And I do have the MA Audio amp, the 1988 or whatever the heck it's called, that has the perforations on it and then the chrome.
That's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah. I like that series. What was I going to say? We're almost done, but I was going to say something and now I forget.
Something. You already said it.
Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. There was a lot of brands that went away, like Oxygen Audio, I think it was called, Alpha Sonic.
Is Planet Audio still around?
I don't even know.
Yeah, Alpha Sonic, yeah. Well, didn't they just bought, or no.
They were
Alpha Sonic they just bought Audioban, didn't they?
No, they were like a subsidiary of the Seven Elephants Group or whatever it's called back in the day.
But I thought they just bought another company. Was it Orion?
Orion just got bought out by someone. I don't know who.
I think it might have been them. I don't know.
Yeah.
TDH is almost here. Woohoo!
Yep, we'll be there this weekend. We're still struggling to get ready, but
yeah. Oh, yes. The HCCAs going into a tweeter or
8 of them.
Bryn Mawr stereo.
Phil, your enemy,
what?
had them. Had the Orion 225 R.
Yep. Well, so I think it was a color thing for me, but it was the Orion Cobalts. So,
oh yeah, the original Cobalt series.
Yes.
Who the van? That was the first over 150 I ever heard was the Orion Cobalt van, which is now owned by DJ Billy E, and that was at the Bryn Mawr Stereo Show.
Wow.
With its band passes in the rear wall.
Yep.
And I remember it thumping all day.
So okay, that is so to answer the question of the topic of the day, what is the dream amp that I wanted and never got? It was the Orion Cobalt, because
like this
I do remember like really
shiny blue.
really wanting it, like really wanting it. And I used to go and visit it, at the store and admire it.
But it was that really good cobalt blue.
Yeah.
And they did a good job on that. Someone said Targa speakers. Targa, you had that Targa, what's his name, shoved it in the bag, right? Targa was a South African company. It might still be around, but Rich got hooked up on one of those.
I never used it.
Did you sell it? Or is it sitting around somewhere? It was an EQ from Targa.
Yeah, he was intent on me stealing by giving me stuff in my bag.
But he was he was the guy that worked there. Was he asking you to hand it to him outside and he was
No. Okay, so he wanted me to tip him $20 by him giving me more than $20
He
worth
gave you
of
like
free,
$150
Yeah,
EQ
free
and like
merchandise.
wire and like all this
and
stuff.
he's like, be cool, man, be cool. I'm like, okay. And he's like, what else you want? What else you want? I'm like,
Was it
that.
because you saw him doing a deal outside and that was hush money?
Yeah, I have no idea. To this day, it's still, I don't know what that was. I really don't know.
Oh, Dale Harris brings up old school ADS. ADS was the brand. This is the 90s, maybe into the 2000s. They were like a very clean gray, and it A/D/S was their logo, and it was a very like
Is it red?
no gray,
No, the logo.
no white.
Okay.
They were more of like an elegant high end type of thing, so they
Okay.
were pretty cool. Cigar Joe in the house,
Hey, Cigar Joe.
and GL Woodard says the precision power amps. Heck yeah. The hot setup. I remember those too.
Didn't the PPI amps get really hot?
Some of them did. They weren't a very efficient heatsink.
Yeah, that it was just like this smooth, like where are the fins? Where's the surface area?
But Extant got away with that because they had a fan and a ductwork with they patented and all this that to have strategic flow.
Okay.
Inside the amp.
Was that grill mesh material?
Yeah.
Underneath the squares?
Yes.
It was like goldish or whatever.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
ADST was the first owner of Orion when they sold it. When that damn first few solo barracks came out, damn pumped up in a small space. Yeah, Kicker, those first solo barracks and the Kicker comps
Yeah.
had that kind of cool cone, and it had a texture to it.
Yep.
I've seen it on other things throughout the years, but they were one of the first to do that.
I remember feeling intimidated by anyone who had those because it was like, oh, he's got the solo barracks, man. Like,
Yeah.
just they at the time there was a lot of hype around them, like being real big performers. And
Yeah, and they were good stuff. I'm sorry, your dream amp was a Jensen.
oh, the US amps, the big surfboard.
Oh yeah, and the Zapco Studio line. All too expensive back then, but hey, you can get them now.
Wasn't Jensen another low end?
It was low end, but Billy had two of their subs that had the handprint on it, and so and they were actually really good. I put them in my car, like testing around and playing around with, and they were like a white basket, a gray cone with like a white hand on it, and so when the woofer moved, it was like a hand on that.
What about those Rockwoods that you sold me?
Rockwoods?
Yeah,
not Rockwoods.
Yeah, the 12s. I put them in my closet.
Are you sure they weren't piles?
Well, no,
that was in the band pass.
That was the joke. Is I always called them Rockwoods because I thought you sold me Rockwoods, but they were actually piles.
Oh, didn't we end up lighting them on fire?
Yes. Because so we built this. We had this box. It was more of like a truck box, right? One of those like really skinny ones. And we put it in the. I put it in the closet, thinking that it was going to act like a band pass or something. And I remember it was actually quieter. We didn't know what the hell we were doing back then.
No, that was experimentation.
And I ran it in series parallel because I had 2 8s in a box. Those are Hot Shots, I think, with the pink surrounds.
Oh, Hot Shots or Thumb?
Or Thumb, one of those. And then I put it just was terrible. It's two 8s and 2 12s wired in series parallel to a receiver that was only meant to handle 8 ohms. And then it blew the amp in the receiver.
It was just sucking power.
It was a warranty, and the guy covered it. So I was actually impressed because
you didn't tell him what you did.
He didn't ask me.
All right, we got to go. Digital design was very intimidating. I love digital designs. I never actually wanted them. I don't know, something. I am very
stupid
driven towards aesthetic design. And although the DD stuff outperformed almost anything out there, they didn't touch on what appealed to me as far as the way they looked. For some reason, they look good and they're amazing. Just for some reason, it never spoke to my design.
Was Lanzar? Was that?
That's the big woofers I got for Alicia.
Are they related to Phoenix Gold at all? Or
I don't think so.
I don't know why. Lanzar OptiDrive.
Yeah, they were good amps. They were big power amps before amps really got. They were one of the first bigger amps. All right, we do got to go.
Okay.
Thank you guys for hanging out. We'd love to go back to the 90s and grab my old equipment. You can do it now. So real quick, I'll tell you, I am planning to turn my beater car into an old school build using strokers and the old Audioban A5000 SPL. And one of my dream mids and highs to get to do that with is your old MB Quartz. So if I could
Really?
find the old German built MB Quartz, I would put them in that car.
Wow.
And make it all old school. I doubt, finding strokers in that condition old is rare. Imagine trying to find a 6.5 inch component.
Oh my
set.
God. I had that car, that build for like 4 years.
That little is almost a gunmetal gray chrome dust cap.
Dust cap.
That little dust cap on the paper cone.
And it had almost like an iridescent, like depending on the lighting.
Yeah.
A little shine.
And they were German built MB Quartz before Rockford and all the changing hands of ownership. So they were really good.
What about the beryllium ones? Are they utopias? Are they even good? Is it worth the money? I guess is my question.
Well, that's subjective. To me, no. But
okay.
All right. Have a good night. Catch me on Quietly Loud later.
Yes, tonight
in like an hour, maybe
9:00 Eastern time. So it's 6:00 Pacific time.
Yeah.
And that's tonight. So go. It's Quietly Loud with the three guys and him
on Facebook and YouTube. I'll be on there talking some stuff and
talking some smack.
And if you're in around the Virginia area this weekend, we'll be at the TDH show.
Yep.
Look for us, our booth. We got our displays I've been putting together down there. Rich is putting together some product stuff and possibly some sales, like show specials and whatnot. And we'll have a conductor on display. We don't have them to produce,
but you get to play with it. And
but
have
if you
fun.
want to actually see one in person,
yeah.
And if you talk real nice, maybe you could pre-order one, but we won't have any there to be able to sell. Just the
display. we got parts on the water.
Yeah,
parts in the sky.
Smoke on the water. Guy smoking in the sky.
No,
that's when Cigar Joe's there because the smoke is there.
That's true.
See you guys sometime that's different than now.
Exactly, and that's probably another time.